this is going to be taking a look at something that has changed pretty significantly since the playtest. And I'm going to preface this by saying I don't think this is that big of an issue. Really, now it's in line with other games or similar games with similar systems. So we'll be taking a look at the things that have changed, the new values, and how it compares to other games in the same genre. The thing that's changed is that when you look at the probability info, now when you take a look at the 4-star rate, it says the probability of a 4-star appearing is 6%. And this is much lower than what it was in the playtest. In the playtest, it was 12%. So it's pretty much halved, but the 6% is actually pretty much standard for other games. I would love a 12% rate, especially on my account. One of my accounts that I'm pushing, I only have 3 4-stars after doing like 170 rolls, which is kind of sad. But this, if anybody played the playtest and you feel like you're getting a lot less 4-stars than you are in the main game, this is why. It was twice as high in the playtest. And this, again, this might not have been the real rate. This could have just been they wanted us to get more 4-stars to work with. It's hard to say exactly. Now, one more thing to take a look at is over here at the bottom. So when you get a 4-star combatant or a 4-star partner, you get 4 Moment of the Radiant Hero, which is the little purple spiral currency. And then once you've basically maxed out their ego, you'll get 10. Compared to the playtest, where we had 8 and 20. So this has also been halved, but there's one more thing we have to look at first. First, the 4-star rate halved, and then the amount of purple spirals that we get halved. So the amount of purple spirals we get from 4-stars has basically been quartered, because this got halved and this also got halved. But let's take a look at the shop, because this was the shop in the playtest. So in the playtest, we had 10 purple spirals for rescue anchors, and then 600 purple spirals for partners. Now in the main game itself right now, we have, let's go to the shop, in the memory archive, it's 10 for the anchors still, and this not being changed, we definitely get a lot less of these to use on rolls themselves. But spoilers for later, this is again pretty much in line with industry standard for how much you should expect to get currency wise, and then the rolling currency acquisition rates. So this is for the partners, which was not in the playtest, but it's 400 for, not for the partners, this is for the duplicates. The dupes, the memory codes, is 400, this was not in the playtest. The partners was 600 in the playtest, and it's 300 here. So they did have the partners. Our purple spiral acquisition from getting 4-stars was, or at least not factoring in the rate reduction, just the actual amount of currency you get for hitting a 4-star was halved, and the cost of the partners was halved as well, which is really, really nice. So let's take a look at a couple of other games. I took a look at Honkai Star Rail and Wuthering Waves. I'm just going to skim over their systems real quick, and then we'll compare all of the data together. So here is Honkai Star Rail. For Honkai Star Rail, the 4-star rate is only 5.1% compared to the 6% that we have in Chaos Zero Nightmare. And typically, the base rate is just 50-50 split between characters and light cones, which is the partners in this game. Characters versus light cones is significant. Same thing in Chaos Zero Nightmare. This is because of the part where when you hit a character, if they're already like completely maxed out on their ego, then you get bonus currency. The hitting characters will net you more currency overall in the long run over the hitting partners, where you don't get anything, or you don't get anything extra. On a rate up banner though, when you hit a 4-star, there's a 50% chance it's going to be one of the rate ups. And for a character banner, it'll be the character. For a partner banner, it'll be the partner. I'm just going to assume that everyone's rolling character banners, because that's what most people should be rolling. So it's a 50% chance that it's a character, and then the other 50% is just going to be evenly distributed across everything else that's remaining. So for Honkai Star Rail, you can see these 3 are rate ups. And then if you lose to 50-50, it'll be like all these other stuff. And there's also some other things, like if you hit something that's not one of the rate ups, you're guaranteed to hit one of the rate-ups on your next one, which like skews the percentages or whatever, but we're not going to get too deep into that. Let's take a look at Wuthering Waves as well. So for Wuthering Waves, the base 4-star rate is 6%, same as Chaos Zero Nightmare. And then same thing, if you hit a 4-star, it's a 50% chance to be the featured 4 stars of the banner. And then here they actually explicitly state it, all non-featured 4-star items have equal drop rate. So pretty much everything here you have equal odds of getting, assuming you lose the 50-50, with Lumi, Sanhua, and Morphe being the rate-up 4 stars. And this is actually kind of different from Chaos Zero Nightmare, because they actually showed the probabilities, which is nice. So one kind of interesting thing here is that if you add up these percentages, so we have a 6% rate base, and 50% of it goes to the rate-ups, Mika and Beryl, that's fine. But you'll notice that the other characters have slightly higher odds than the partners, and this is just because there's only 9 characters here, not including Mika and Beryl. There's 9 left and 11 here. So they actually maintain a 50-50 split between hitting combatants and partners, which is, I would say, good. It's good in the sense of getting more currency, because I don't know if Chaos Zero Nightmare will have this issue, but in both Star Rail and Wuthering Waves, you end up having more like partners than combatants especially when you take away like a couple of them, because they're making up the other 50% here. So the odds of you getting combatants is like slightly lower compared to usual, but here like they kind of even it out. It's just a lot higher here, the chance of you getting combatants. That's going over all the systems. Now let's just take a look at some of the data. So here we have, I also put in the 5-star rates for fun, but we have Chaos Zero Nightmare, Honkai Star Rail, and Wuthering Waves in these 3 sections. The 5-star rate, the currency you get for getting a 5-star, and also once you've maxed them out, you get extra. Same thing for 4 stars, you have the 4-star rate here, plus the currency you get for getting a 4-star, and then any excess, or like once you've maxed them out, E6 and everything. So there's 2 numbers here. This is the base 4-star rate, just your odds of getting a 4-star character or partner. This one's a little bit different. This is just because when you're rolling on a rate-up banner, assuming it's a character rate-up banner, you have a 50% chance to be guaranteed a combatant. So you have pretty much 3%, and then it's 50-50 whether you get a combatant or the other thing, the partners. So this is a little bit lower than the actual value just because of the pity, where if you roll a non-rate-up 4-star, your next one is guaranteed to be one of the rate-ups, which kind of, it guarantees that you're getting a combatant no matter what. So this should be a little bit higher, but this is just an estimate. And then we have Star Rail, Wuthering Waves here. So we also have some of the items in the shop, the cost of a roll, and I also just divided these by the currency for getting just one 4-star, not factoring in the max one. Because, I mean, the max one, the numbers are easier to look at. The cost of a 5-star imprint and the cost of a 5-star partner. So for Honkai Star Rail, and we have 0.6% for the 5-star compared to 1% for Chaos Zero Nightmare, and the Wuthering Waves is at 0.8%. The currency for 5 stars, it's 20 versus 40 versus 15. For the 4-star rates, it's 6% versus 5.1% versus 6%. And then the currency you get is 4, 8, and 3. One thing you'll notice is that Chaos Zero Nightmare, pretty much across the board, is just half of Honkai Star Rail, except for the rates. The amount of currency you get for getting a 5-star is 20 versus 40, 4 versus 8, and then even in the shop, it's 10 for a roll versus 20 for a roll. Partners are 300 versus 600. Plus in Chaos Zero Nightmare, we also get because not every single unit is limited, we're going to get a lot more partners in the shop to pick from, which is really nice. So that is just like all of the number values are halved, but then our odds are just higher. We have 1% versus 0.6% for the 5-star, and then 4-star is 6% versus 5.1%. Now comparing to Wuthering Waves, for the rolls, it's 8 currency to buy a roll, though it's a little bit weird because they have their like currency in like different numbers and it's not exactly the same. But this is 75% of like 3 is 75% of 4. And well, they can't do 7.5, so they rounded up, so it's 8. So you can see here it's a little bit higher, like because I just divided the roll by the currency you get for a dupe. It's a little bit higher in terms of how many dupes you need to buy a roll. On the other hand, for the imprint, it's actually cheaper in Wuthering Waves. It's 270, which is about 90 dupes, assuming they're all 4 stars without maxing them out. Whereas in Chaos Saber Nightmare, it's 400 to 4, so it's 100. So this is the one thing where like a different game does win out. It's pretty much only here. Everywhere else, Chaos Saber Nightmare is higher. Though for Wuthering Waves, they do have the exact same 4-star rate. It's both just 6%. But here, like, it's slightly better, and then here it's like slightly worse. So I guess that's the trade-off. So pretty much the whole point of this is just looking at this, and we're saying that it's pretty much standard now. Like, you look at the general costs with how often you get 4 stars, plus how often you get your little special purple spiral currency to use to buy other items in the shop. And compared to other games that I've played, I've only really played these ones, and also like Epic 7, but it's pretty much just the same. This is industry standard, I guess. I would definitely appreciate higher rates. I think I'm slightly influenced by the fact that I just don't have 4 stars on my 4-star account. I don't have any of the non-free 4 stars, which really, really sucks. But this was just something I thought was kind of interesting. I definitely felt, not even just like not having a wide variety of 4 stars, I definitely felt like I was getting less 4 stars overall, which makes sense because we have half the 4-star rate. And this purple spiral currency is going to be really important for what we're going to be spending it on. I feel like largely you should be spending it on partners, just because partner, it's 30 rolls. 30 rolls for a guaranteed partner is an absolute steal. Anyways, that is it for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.